Hello. This is going to be another different video from what I normally do because normally I would talk about anime, but today I decided to get out of the anime realm for a little bit and decided to watch a little film that came out yesterday during premiere night, and that is the new Thunderbolts movie. And I want to talk about it. So, Thunderbolts. Is it a good movie? Is it a bad movie? What is it? Well, Thunderbolts is, for one thing, a film that I've been kind of glued to for some time now because of the numerous amount of teasers and trailers that have been coming out since the announcement of Thunderbolts. And let's be real here, Phase 5 of Marvel Studios is probably the lowest that Thunderbolts is going to be in at the moment in general because, again, ever since the debut of Ant-Man The Wasp Quantumania, Marvel Studios really has been in a downhill slope of really bad to some really terrible movies. Now, not all of them are bad. We had the Amazing Guardians Volume 3, and there is also Deadpool and Wolverine that came out in Phase 5. Both films are easily the best that this phase has to offer. And Thunderbolts to me really goes into that same realm of like really good films in my opinion. So I guess for starters, if I had to rank between all the Phase 5 Marvel films that have come out thus far as like what is the best to the worst, the best in my opinion would be Guardians Volume 3, then Deadpool Wolverine, then the Thunderbolts movie, and then for the really shittier movies, second to last would surprisingly be Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania, and then dead last is The Marvels, which is I'm not gonna go deep into why that film is trash. You would already know. But anyway, Thunderbolts. This film I thought was pretty good from the get go. I thought that everything about this film that a lot of the current modern day Marvel movies has been lacking in as of late actually stand out in this film. There were a lot of comedic moments in this film that really stood out really strong, a lot of serious character driven moments that are really good. If I had to throw in a criticism right off the gate, though, is that as someone who has watched a lot of Marvel TV shows and all the Marvel movies up until this point, I will say that if you watch Thunderbolts without any knowledge regarding a lot about who these characters are, where they came from past previous films, you're not going to understand as to why this movie came to be. And what's kind of shocking is that if you don't even watch the latest Marvel films come out this year, which was Captain America: Brave New World, which unironically I would put that above Ant-Man: The Wasp: Quantumania, you're not going to really understand the transition from that film to Thunderbolts. So, once again, one of the main criticisms I have about Thunderbolts is that if you watch into this like a brand new, like you don't know what you're expecting with, just be warned, you might not get to know these characters super well. Another criticism I'll have right off the gate is that there's some people saying that there's going to be some plays with the CGI, and honestly, I think the CGI in this film is okay. Is it the best? It definitely is not. I've definitely seen much better, but overall, I think it's pretty okay. It's passable to an extent. But I think let's go ahead and talk about the characters, the story. So, um, I I don't want to get into spoilers on what the whole movie's all about because essentially the trailers and the teasers for it have kind of spoiled it for you more or less. But essentially, it's about some weird conspiracy stuff going on in the underworld per se of superheroes, and we get to see Yelena, who is one of the main characters from the Black Widow movie, if you remember, play a pretty big role in this film. And together they meet up with John Walker, Ghost, Bucky eventually within the film, and I believe the Red Guardian. And together they form like Voltron, and surely but slowly, through lots of character development, a lot of tears and emotions, they become the big superhero stud and save the day. And for one thing, a lot of the qualities and the comedy, the humor, the action is reminiscent of like the Guardians, so, but more specifically, the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, which I know is a reach to say the least, but I think that a lot of the humor, the wittiness, and how the characters intertwine and interact with each other is kind of sort of reminiscent of Guardians back in the day, but not as amazing and groundbreaking as it was when it came out the gate swinging. Another thing too is that this movie surprisingly deals in like a really deep and really serious subject matter, which is depression and loneliness and isolation, and to an extent, suicide. So it really dives into a lot of these really dark moments in the movie that I was honestly caught really off guard by, but miraculously this film really kind of tells it and portrays it really beautifully as like what it's like, what it feels like, and what you can do to like break out of that mode to get the help they need, etc., etc. And I feel like this film did super well with not only the villain, the new villain of the movie, which I'll refer to as Bob to not hopefully give away spoilers, but I really liked how they portrayed Yelena's backstory and what she has been going through for many years and how it connects to the villain of the movie. Now, with that out of the way, I'm going to get into some pretty big criticisms that, again, this is my first time viewing the movie, so bear with me. One of the first criticisms about this show is this movie is that the beginning of the movie, the way it starts off, is a little unorthodox. It's not really put together really well, but in a way, it kind of sort of reminds me again of how the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first film, came to be. How all the characters will eventually meet up and interact with each other. But I do think that this film lacked the fundamentals to like bring all these characters together in a really nice, really casual stance that I wish would have stand out way stronger. Another criticism I have about this film, and I think this is one that I was honestly worried about, and I'm not surprised to see, is Ghost. So Ghost in this film, I gotta say, is still even in the trailers. I knew when watching this movie she was going to be the most underwhelming character of this film, and believe me, her performance in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was okay. It was fine, but completely forgettable. If we're going to be honest with myself, but in here in Thunderbolts, Ghost does nothing, man. Like, I'm sorry. The moments that like she teams up and works together with the whole crew, it's amazing. It's a standout. But Ghost just does nothing. She barely speaks in the film, and she barely has any screen time at all. It really is like they just don't even use her at all, and she's just a background prop. That's like one of the main things I've had with Ghost, and I'm amazed that I thought they would at least flesh her out a little bit more, but they didn't. Instead, they just put her as like nothing more as a background character to just kind of be like, "Oh, hey, there's ghosts," and it's like, what the heck? This is not it. Also, another criticism I have of this film is there is a scene at the very beginning of the movie where one of the characters are trying to fight for each other. I think you may even see the teaser trailer about it, where all the main characters are locked up in this big, gigantic room. And one of the characters that you didn't see in the trailer actually comes in, fights, and has this amazing, cool choreography. And then within 5 seconds after interaction, they just shot this person in the head and dies. Like, what? Again, I'm not gonna spoil who dies in that fucking scene, but just know that it's one of the most forgettable villains to come out in recent memory from the an MCU film that I'm pretty sure you're kind of sick and tired about. And most importantly, I think that a lot of what this film starts off really good at, it kind of ends on a bit of a strong note per se, but the ending of the film, I guess, if we're going to talk about the ending of the film is was an interesting way to tie things up, tie up a lot of the serious suicidal, depression, loneliness type of vibes that it was trying to come across. But it also had like moments where it was clearly paying homage to the first Iron Man film, the first Avengers film. And I thought they did that pretty good as like a hidden little Easter egg. And the post credit scene, nothing more can be said about that. I think the post credit scene was pretty good. Sets itself up for like a new big stage of what's to come in the future MCU. And yeah, I think that's all I gotta say about this film. Thunderbolts overall, while it's definitely not a perfect film by any means, this is definitely one of the better films to come out in a while. It's definitely better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, definitely better than Captain America and the Brave New World, and while it can't hit, it's not going to be able to hit the same lengths of success and popularity as like Guardians Volume 3 and Deadpool Wolverine that came out not that long ago. I think this film definitely stands out as like one of the best films to come out in Marvel's Phase 5 universe. And I will say, I think that Thunderbolts was a little bit refreshing for once, considering that during this time period, we kind of been entering a mode of like, we have these up and coming Marvel movies, and we're expecting really great things from it, and it comes out either okay or just not good at all. And Thunderbolts ending the Phase 5 universe, I think, was a pretty smart move, in my opinion. And I'm hoping that this film, going into Phase 6, going into the first Phase 6 movie, which is the Fantastic Four film, I'm hoping it's going to be something bigger and better for the MCU studio future. And yeah, I just want to talk about this again. Nothing new anime related today. I wanted to try something a little bit different, see if I can actually do a pretty good, okay movie review in one go. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. This time, hopefully about an anime related subject. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Later.